right, Pincha Mayurasana. Okay, this arm balance is one of those fun ones, but challenging, especially if you don't want to be looking like a banana in this one. One of the big limitations for a lot of people is shoulder mobility, so we can just look at that. Also, core strength is another big one. So I've got this chair here. I'm going to make use of that. So this is one of my favorite stretches, mobility exercises for the shoulders. So we start like this, bring the elbows onto the edge of the chair, and then bring the hands toward the shoulders. Take your head between the arms. Knees are under the hips, toes tucked under. And then from here, sink your chest down toward the floor, and then bring your ribs in away from the floor, curling the tailbone under slightly. That will help to increase the stretch. And then again, sink down. Try and bring your thumbs to your shoulders here, and then draw the ribs in, curl the tailbone under. Bring the tailbone right under, and then one more time, sinking down, and then ribs in. Try and really articulate the spine one vertebrae at a time. And then you can come out of that one. And we can do the same thing on the floor. Either one arm at a time, like this. Drawing the ribs in. Dropping the chest toward the floor. And ribs in. And we can also do both arms at the same time. Like this. Okay, so that's going to help you with that overhead shoulder mobility, which is one of the limiting factors when you do the forearm balance. If you don't have that opening, then the balance has to come from somewhere, and usually it comes from arching your back. So just move this chair. We can also work on our high plank again, so bring the hands forward, shoulders over the wrist, tuck the tailbone under, and then lift the knees up. Let's bring the feet together. So keep lifting the knees, curling under, ribs in. Shoulders over the wrist, and let's hold this position. Pressing up between the shoulder blades, pushing the shoulders to the hips. And then coming down. You can try doing a plank walk. So we start at the back of the mat, coming to the high plank, and then we're going to walk the hands forward, try to hold that hollow body position. So bring the hands forward, shoulders over the wrist, tuck under, and lift up, come into a good high plank, and then walk your hands forward, trying not to collapse in the lower back. And hold. And then walk it back. And come down. So these positions are actually harder than balancing in the forearm balance, but they will give you some understanding of how to orientate your body when you're upside down. Another good one is from Downward Dog. To externally rotate the shoulders, so spreading the shoulder blades away from the ears, and bring your elbows towards the floor. So here you are, already in that forearm balancing position, and then press back up. Okay, just bring the hands in a little bit closer, wrap the shoulders away from the ears, elbows toward the floor, coming down, and then pushing back up. And now we'll take it to the wall. Okay, we'll start close to the wall. When you set it up, you can cross your elbows and just find this distance, holding onto your elbows with the hands. And then from there, bring your hands forward. Like our headstand, we're going to press the shoulders away from the ears, press down through the elbows, press down through the wrists. Going to kick up one leg at a time, so just bending the legs, and just with this leg kicking up, and find the wall. Okay, so we've got the wall there, and like our headstand, we bend one leg, lift the tailbone up, ribs in, bring that one foot away from the wall, and then try to find the other foot, balance, and then touch the wall. And so the tendency is to do this, so we bend one knee, lift the tailbone up, draw the ribs in, keep lifting up out of the shoulders, take one foot away from the wall, and then balance. And then come down. And so we'll try it again. This time we're going to come a bit further away from the wall. We're going to come one shin distance away from the wall. So where your knees are, that's where you're going to place your elbows. And again, we set it up, so we find our shoulder width distance. Hands straight out in front, in line with the elbows. Press down through the elbows, through the hands and the wrists. Shoulders away from the ears. Create this angry cat shape. And then kick it up. And the wall's right there. So we come on to the toe tips with the knees bent. And so the tendency here is for the lower back to collapse, also for the shoulders to collapse. So one is we want to lift the shoulders away from the wall, and two is lift the tailbone up toward the ceiling. And then from there, we can take one foot up, find the balance, and try and bring the other foot. And come down. And then once you get comfortable with the wall, then you can move away from the wall, back to the mat, freestanding. Okay, so now we'll try, the first entry is just to kick up one leg at a time and try to find a balancing point with the legs in a split, a front split. And so what you do is, like, if you imagine you're walking on a slack line or a tightrope, you're using your arms to balance. So if you're falling too far this way, you use this hand to bring you back. If you're falling too far this way, you bring this arm to find the balance. So the same thing with the legs. If you're falling too far this way, the back leg is going to pull you down, And if you're falling too far back this way, use the front leg to pull you up. So I'll show you that one. Finding shoulder width, hands out, shoulders away from the ears, press down through your elbows, down through the wrists and the hands, creating this angry cat shape, and then kick up. And so just trying to find the balance in this split position. So if I'm falling toward the floor this way, I use the top leg to lift me up. So if you start falling into a back bend, so if you're going to fall over, use this front leg to pull it back and find the balancing point. And so you can just stay here and eventually start to find that point where you can bring the feet together. One thing I'd like to add, if you're at home trying this, if you've got a strap and a block, you could use those to strap around the elbows, keep your elbows in, because the tendency, if your shoulders are tight, your elbows are going to be pulled out to the side like this. And so the strap just helps you to keep it in, and also the block can help you with that. Okay, so coming back into it, pressing through the elbows, through the wrist, the hands, shoulders away from the ears, creating that angry cat shape. And we're going to jump into a tuck position. And lift the shoulders, lift the tailbone, and then straighten the legs. And then come into a tuck, and back down. Okay, so it's a big jump from kicking one leg up at a time to jumping into either the tuck or the next stage, jumping straight legs into position. I'll demonstrate that one. We also have the press up, which is definitely challenging, worth it if you want to work on that. The easiest way to work on the press in the beginning is to go into a straddle position. From the straddle, and then you try to take it up. So we set it up, shoulders away from the ears, lift up, take the feet wide apart, and then you lean forward, coming onto the toe tips, keep pressing up, take the legs to the side, and then bring the feet together. And actually the exit out of this one is to jump back. Like this. The jump back is actually mostly about timing, but one way to work on that is from a forearm chaturanga like this. So you're here, chaturanga, press down, and then jump the hands back. Okay, so practice this over and over again. Forearm chaturanga, down, and jump back. And then when you're up in Pincha, there's a certain moment as the feet fall, the body becomes weightless, and you jump the feet back.